Вітаю! Мене звати Сергій, і я вітаю вас на каналі Сергій Лайф, де і саме в цьому занятті я проходжу свої заняття з англійською мовою по системі English Learning Marathon, яку я створив спеціально для того, щоб регулярно займатися мовою, покращувати свої скіли. В рамках цієї системи тут я зібрав додатки, які я створив на основі штучного інтелекту, додав їх сюди. Також я тут зробив унікальний словник Анкі з з унікальними картками і унікальним аддоном для того, щоб швидко додавати самі слова. Слова додаються з Cambridge.org, професійного словника англійської мови, і також розширюються за допомогою штучного інтелекту. Туди додається мнемоніка, де додаються багато різних прикладів, озвучка, зображення, галерея зображень, тому картка максимально насичена і допомагає швидко і максимально ефективно вивчити нові слова. Крім того, тут я використовую різні сервіси як штучного інтелекту, так і сервіси для тестування, для закріплення знань, для відслідковування прогресу, для того, щоб було зрозуміло, які саме показники ми отримуємо, як вони покращуються. І також в рамках цієї системи я зробив необхідні форми по типу Scrum-методології, яка часто використовується в IT або в будівництві навіть. Scrum застосовується. І також само, багато хто, можливо, не знає, Scrum дуже ефективен, і часто застосовується в просунутих школах для вивчення, для навчання. Що я тут теж інтегрував. Також тут є система TPRS, це методологія, яка Teaching Proficiency through Reading and Storytelling, тобто це система, яка йде через навчання по історії, де задаються багато питань, відповідей на них, і є глибоке занурення в саму історію, її розуміння і так далі. Оскільки ця методологія, вона, як правило, застосовується в класах з вчителем, тут я це компенсував за допомогою штучного інтелекту і створення аудіоподкастів. Плюс додатково ви з штучним інтелектом, коли робите перекази, діалоги з ним, то ви теж по цьому методу спілкуєтесь. Можете просити його цим займатися. Тому сама система комплексна, вона досить насичена, і ця година, яка проходить в день, вона дуже швидко злітає. Звісно, ви можете під себе підібрати не 1 годину на день, а 2, 3, 8, скільки завгодно, для того, щоб якомога швидше проходити навчання. Тим не менш, це все коригується. Додаткова перевага цієї системи в тому, що ви, не тільки в тому, що ви системно займаєтесь самостійно, а в тому, що тут у вас відпадає оце відчуття, коли вам постійно потрібен якийсь пінок, що ви постійно шукаєте якусь мотивацію. Мотивація – це взагалі повна маячня. Немає вигорання, немає демотивації, тому що є тільки дисципліна. Якщо ви не можете себе дисциплінувати, якщо ви не можете займатися системно, значить у вас в голові хаос, ви не можете сфокусуватись на чомусь, і єдине, що вам потрібно фокусуватись, вибрати щось своє, почати цим займатися і займатися системно. Тоді у вас не буде демотивації, у вас не буде розчарувань. Ви просто будете розуміти, що вам робити. Ви відкриваєте цю презентацію, у вас є перелік, ви розумієте, як працює система, які методики використовуються, як проходить весь спринт, які заняття загалом є, як вони побудовані в рамках тижня, спринта. Ви це все підбираєте історії, по яким займаєтесь, є описані ресурси і так далі. Тобто ви розумієте, коли я сьогодні відкриваю свій 13-те заняття, і я розумію прекрасно, що я роблю сьогодні для того, щоб далі покращувати свій рівень. І потім, як результат, щоб не було демотивації, у вас також є щоденник прогресу, ретроспективний аналіз спринта, коли ви закінчуєте. І потім ви будете бачити, збирати свої показники, і вони у вас будуть, даних поки що мало, у вас будуть формуватись графіки того прогресу по кожному, отут по кожному pronunciation, так, fluency, grammar, vocabulary, intonation, да, по кожному із пунктів ви будете розуміти, як саме у вас проходить, який прогрес проходить. Деякі тенденції я бачу є на спадіння, є на зростання, і я розумію, які мені ставити цілі подальші на наступний марафон, наприклад, якщо я продовжую, або підкоригувати на наступний спринт. От зараз, наприклад, я бачу, що в мене словничок просідає, все інше плюс-мінус там десь зростання, десь горизонтально йде. Да? Ну і так само я гнучко підбираю свої цілі. Тобто, отут, наприклад, коли я вільне говоріння, я бачу, що в мене pronunciation зростає, також зростає граматика дещо, а vocabulary він і в читанні, і в говорінні просідає, як і в fluency. Ну, fluency тут поки що, знову ж таки, поки що мало даних. Але з словничком я відчуваю, що дійсно треба над ним працювати, так як і над граматикою теж. І я ставлю конкретні цілі, зрозуміло, що саме, як з цим працювати. Тому сьогодні в мене мій 13-й день. Це останній день саме заняття другого спринта. І сьогодні в мене буде виразне читання по Elsa Speak, детальний переказ історії з діалогами і переказ Reading Coach наприкінці. Все. Плани є, я собі не вигадую нічого. Якщо мені не подобається, вам також, якщо не подобається такий розклад, ви його через додаток, який я також створив, можете підкоригувати під себе в системі штучного інтелекту або запланувати свій і по ньому рухатись. І, в принципі, все. Так. Починаємо. А я не відкрив. Зараз, секундочку. Так. Мені ж не треба. Так. Раз. Speak 2. Так. Окей. У мене в цьому аккаунті Elsa Speak залишилась 21 хвилинка. Якраз я її сьогодні доб'ю. У мене буде 10 хвилин я зроблю читання зараз, і потім ще на той час, який залишиться, я зроблю вільний переказ своїми словами. Так. Окей. Поїхали. You are hungry after your journey, she said with cold smile. I have 30 chickens outside. Eat them before 12 o'clock. I don't want to find one chicken leg. Can I invite a friend? The prince asked. I do not like eating without a friend. You can ask one friend, said the queen. The prince left. He will die. He will die this afternoon, she said to her daughter, and she laughed. The prince went back to his friends. Come with me, fat man, he said. Fat man quickly ate the 30 chickens. Then he ate the queen's other animals, the bread in the kitchens, the fruit on the trees and the vegetables in the ground. Now what can I eat? Asked Fat Man. There was nothing there, so he went to sleep. At 12 o'clock, the queen called for her lunch. She waited and waited, but no food came. She went to see the cook. "Where is my lunch?" she asked. A fat man ate everything in the garden and everything in the kitchen. There is no food. The queen got angrier and angrier. Then she thought of a plan. "Aha!" she laughed. "Now I will catch him." The prince came to her on the third day. "Will you eat with me tonight?" she asked, with a low smile. "And after that, would you like to sit with the princess for 2 hours?" "Yes," answered the prince. "I would allow that." "You will not fall asleep when you are talking to the princess?" asked the queen. "Fall asleep?" cried the prince. "Never. When a prince falls asleep with a princess," said the queen, "the princess disappears by magic. Then that person dies." The prince put on his most beautiful clothes. He ate with the queen. Their conversation was very cold. Servants brought wonderful food and wonderful drinks. When the prince turned away for a minute, the queen quickly put something into his glass of wine. The prince did not see. He drank the wine. Then the prince took him to the princess. They climbed up many stairs to a high room. The princess sat sadly by the window. The red light of the evening sun lit up her beautiful face. The river below, the flowers round the window, and her dress were the same color. The prince sat near at the prince. They were happy, very happy for a short time, but the prince's eyes suddenly felt heavy. He started to fall asleep. He couldn't hear the prince's words. His eyes shut. He was asleep. Half an hour later, he opened his eyes again. The princess wasn't here. He looked everywhere in the room, but he couldn't find her. He ran to the window and looked out. He saw Big Air below. He called to him. The princess isn't here. We have to find her in the next hour." Long arms brought the prince down to the ground. "Where is the princess? Can you hear her, Big Air?" Big Air put his ear to the ground. "Yes," said he said. "I can hear her. She is calling. She says that she is across the river. She is inside a tree. Her mother's man put her there." Quick Eyes looked. "Yes, I see. Yes," he said. "I can see her. But how can we get her?" cried the prince. "I have an idea," said the cold man, and he opened his coat. Snow fell, everything went white. Cold Man jumped into the river, and the water was ice. They ran across the ice and brought the princess back. Long Arms put the prince and princess back through the window into the high room. They sat down, and the door opened. The queen came. She couldn't not speak when she saw the princess. She gave them a cold smile. "We have we are having a very interesting conversation," said the prince. "We are talking about trees and rivers." "Come with me," said the queen. "It is night. Your bedroom is ready. Your servants can sleep there too." The prince said uh, good night to the princess, and he and his servants followed the queen. She took them to a big room. The queen shut the door. She ran to the cook and said, "Make a great fire under the room." After a short time, the room got very hot. The prince went to the door, but he couldn't open it. I can hear a great fire below us, said Beaker. This is wonderful, said Cold Man. I feel really warm for the first time in my life. Open your coat, Cold Man, said the prince. When Cold Man opened his coat, the room got colder again. That's better, they said. The queen listened the door. She heard them. She ran to the cook and said, make the fire hotter. The cold man smiled. I'm warm again, he said. They're cooking us, said the other servants. Take off your coat, said the prince. The prince took Cold Man's coat away. I'm too cold, said the Cold Man. Please give me back my coat. Snow fell into the room. The prince could not speak because he was too cold. Fat Man cried. There was ice in his hair. The queen came to the door. He listened. Nothing. They're dead now, she said. She opened the door, and the prince and his servants ran out of the room. Let's go and sit by a fire, said the prince. My face and hands are blue with cold. The queen could not win. She knew that now. So he left the country. The prince married the princess, married the prince, and they lived happily. And the good servants lived with them. Так, швиденько заносимо результати. Це рідінок. 75. 65, 21. 1, 2, 57, 170. 62, 85. 77, 60. Ну, в мене fluency трошки піднявся, да. Це хороший показник. Intonation не сильно. Pronunciation гірше став. А тут майже все однаково. Ну, окей. Бува. Так, Ельза нам ще пригодиться сьогодні. Так. Мгм. Значить, зараз я буду робити. А, все правильно. А тут подкаст build. Все правильно. Так. Значить, минулий раз я спілкувався з, ну, безпосередньо тут через мовну модель. І зараз вони прикольно зробили, що це записується в чат. І я хочу тільки трошки по-іншому піти. Це подкаст-білдер, який на основі якого я створював аудіоподкаст, і я візьму цю частину якраз з TPRS, там, де йдуть запитання, відповідь. Я йому її. Так, от тут. Так. Я йому її зараз скормлю. Нарешті. Так. Додаю йому ті файли, ну, ті питання, я собі зберіг їх. Так, і обов'язково бажано йому давати контекст, де ви зараз знаходитесь, щоб він розумів, які саме заняття ви проходите, які вправи і так далі. І я йому пишу, що тут є частина задань, які я не виконую безпосередньо все в рамках цього з штучним інтелектом. Я розбиваю, тут я проходжу практику, в основному багато говоріння, деяку практику проходжу. Тому контекст для нього обов'язково. Плюс я потім через нього підбиваю підсумки, щоб він мені ставив оцінку якусь, результати показував додаткові, і роблю опис до відео, яких я записую зараз, щоб мені було простіше. Тому контекст, бажано давати контекст, щоб він розумів, де саме ви знаходитесь. Так, в принципі, це. Це в подкасті я йому написав. Міськуї. Марафон. Так, правильно. Hi, let's start our TPRS style podcast for retelling this story.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. So, just as we planned, we'll jump into our TPRS style retelling. All right, first simple question.
Секундочку. Hi, let's start our audio podcast for retelling this story, The Prince and the Servants, in TPRS style.
Absolutely. Let's get started. We'll jump right into our TPRS style podcast and retell The Prince and the Servants. So, here we go with our first little question to warm up. Who's the main villain at the beginning of the story? Let's start there.
The main person in this story is a prince and the princess. And actually, queen and princess's servants. I don't know who is main on this story.
That's totally fine. You've got the key characters down. So, yes, we have the prince, the princess, and definitely the queen playing a big role. Let's just say the queen is our main troublemaker here. All right, let's
Okay.
keep it rolling with the next part of the story.
Okay. How this story started?
Sure. So the story starts with the queen who's quite jealous, and she has a beautiful daughter, the princess. Many princes come to try to marry the princess, but the queen gives them impossible tasks. And that's where all the adventures begin. Now let's go ahead and dive into the next part, and we'll keep this conversation going just like that.
Yeah, you keep going, and you can answer me too some questions about the story, step by step.
Absolutely. We'll keep it going step by step. So we'll just go back and forth with questions and answers. I'll ask you something about the story, you answer, and then you can ask me, and we'll move through it like a real dialogue. Let's do it.
Okay. What are you doing about the queen? Why she gave to the princess, all princess, an impossible task?
Great question. So the queen is basically giving all these princes impossible tasks because she's jealous and she doesn't actually want anyone to marry her daughter. She wants to keep control and have power over the whole situation. So that's why she makes everything so difficult. And now it's your turn. Feel free to ask me the next question, or we can switch roles a bit.
We can switch roles a bit. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's switch it up. I'll take a turn answering as if I'm the prince, or maybe even one of the servants, and you can ask me something about what happens next. Let's have some fun with it.
I mean, I want not only ask you. I want, for example, first of all, I ask you about the story, and you answer this. After you answer, you ask me next situation of the story, and I will answer about your question and go forward for that and retelling the story like that script which I give it to you before.
Ah, I see exactly what you mean. So we'll really go back and forth. You ask me
Hallelujah.
something, I answer, then I ask you something, and you answer. And we'll just keep trading turns like that to retell the story tip by bit. Got it. Let's do it exactly that way.
Давай подивимося, як ти зрозуміла. Okay. And next situation is about a prince who lived in a small country with a poor king. It is her father. And her father, um, uh, he want to be married to the princess. Why did the king didn't want to marry the princess?
Well, that's a great question. So, the king actually didn't want his son to marry the princess because he knew how dangerous the queen was. The king was worried that the queen would harm his son, just like she did with all the other princes who tried. So, he was really just trying to protect his son. Now it's my turn to ask you. After the prince decided to go anyway, how did he end up meeting his unusual servants?
Repeat, please, your question.
Of course. So, my question for you is, after the prince decided to go on this journey anyway, how did he end up meeting all these unusual magical servants along the way?
And how did he? Так, не понял все одно. Do you mean how did he find the servants?
Exactly. That's what I mean. How did the prince actually find or meet those magical servants on his journey?
Ah, fire. Okay, yeah. Actually, after he decided to go to the princess, he go without any servants because the her father was very poor. And then when he when he uh, when he um, correct me on this step about journey while he forward to the uh, queen's kingdom, he saw some interesting and unusual people. For example, fat man, a big hair, long arms, and cold man. And he invited them to be their servants.
You've got it. Exactly. So, as he traveled along to the queen's kingdom, he met all these unique characters like Fat Man, Big Ear, Long Arms, and Cold Man,
Mhm.
and he asked them to join him as his servants. You did a great job explaining that. Let's keep going with our back and forth. You can go ahead and ask me the next part, and we'll continue retelling the story together.
Okay. Yeah. Um, these people. How do you think about these strange people? Uh, where from they came?
Well, I think these strange and
Where
magical
they came
people
from?
probably come from a world in the story where everyone has some unique ability. It's like a fairy tale land where it's normal to have these special powers, and the prince just met them along his journey. They're sort of like the hidden heroes of that magical world. All right, let's keep this going. You're doing awesome, and we'll move on to the next part of the story with your nappy question, or I can ask you when.
Yeah. Yes, you can ask me too.
Absolutely. I'll ask you the next one then. So now that the prince has these magical servants with him, they arrive at the queen's kingdom, and she gives him the first impossible task. My question is, what was that first task that the queen gave the prince to try to stop him?
The first task from the queen to the prince was to find some blue jewel which she lose in the river. And he said to the prince, you might find the jewel for, I don't remember exactly, for 12 o'clock or something like that.
Exactly. You got it just right. The queen told the prince to find that blue jewel she lost in the river, and he had to bring it back by a certain time, like noon. And of course, that's where his magical service came in handy. You did great with that. Let's keep going, and we'll wrap up this storytelling in a couple more turns. You can go ahead and ask the next one.
Okay, I have some other question which frustrated me about first servant. When the prince met when he met a fat man, it's the first servant. The fat man says, I will be your servant to the prince if the prince gave him a food. But my question is about the prince. He was from a poor country, and he know a lot of food for give to the fat man. Why do the fat man go to the prince? How do you think?
That's a really interesting point. So, even though the prince was from a poor country and didn't have a lot of food to offer right away, I think the fat man decided to join him because he saw that this was a chance for a real adventure. Maybe he believed that helping the prince would lead to bigger and better things, and of course, more food down the road once they succeeded. So, I think it was all about having faith in the journey. Great question. Let's go ahead and wrap up our little dialogue here. You've done really well, and we can always pick up again next time.
Maybe prince says, I have no a lot of food right now, but I forward to the jealous queen um, who gave an impossible task, and you can and then kill the princess, and if I am lose, you can eat me. It's a black humor.
Haha, a little bit of dark humor there, but I love it. Yeah, maybe the prince basically said, look, I don't have much now, but stick with me and we'll either feast at the queen's table or, well, you can eat me if things go wrong. That definitely adds a fun twist to the story. You did awesome with all of this. Let's wrap up here and we'll jump back in next time. Great job today.
No, we can keep going. I have some time today.
Absolutely. We can keep going if you've got some more time. I'm here for it, and we can definitely continue having fun with the story and our dialogue. So let's dive right back in and keep the storytelling rolling.
Okay, ask me the question.
Sure thing. Let's keep it going. So here's my next question for you. After the prince and his servants managed to find the jewel in the river, what was the second task that the queen gave him to try to stop him from marrying the princess?
The next task of the queen was ate 30 chickens, and she didn't find no she didn't find um, one leg chickens, one leg chicken, something like this. And the next question for you is about mm, okay, let's answer. I and on this way, I'll think about next question for you.
Absolutely, you got it right. The queen, the next task was that the prince had to eat 30 chickens and not leave a single chicken leg behind. And of course, that's when his servant Fat Man came in super handy. And no worries, take a moment to think of your next question. We'll keep this fun back and forth going. Just let me know when you're ready.
Okay. What was the third task for the prince?
Great question. So, the third task that the queen gave the prince was to spend a night talking to the princess without falling asleep. She hoped that he would fall asleep and fail because if he did, she had a plan to make him disappear. But of course, with the help of his servants, he managed to stay awake and succeed. You're doing awesome with all of this. Let's keep going as long as you like.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Um, just give me some question.
Of course, let's keep it rolling with another question for you. So, after the prince successfully stayed awake and the queen saw that he completed all three tasks, what did the queen do next when she realized that the prince was actually going to succeed in marrying the princess?
Then the queen she saw the princess at the high room, and it was unexpected to her, and then she said the prince and her servants going to sleep in their room, and after that she makes a great fire under their rooms because she won't kill them, but she it but she can't. She can't. Швидше відповідай.
Exactly, you've got it. The queen tried one last trick by making a huge fire under their room to get rid of the prince and his servants, but thanks to their abilities, they managed to stay safe and she couldn't defeat them. You did a fantastic job with all of this. I think we've had a really great session going through the story. Whenever you're ready to wrap up, just let me know, or we can continue a little bit more.
Let's um, think about continue the story. It is not written by author. We can just imagine some new happy ending on or other side didn't happy ending.
Absolutely. Let's get creative and imagine our own ending. We can give the story a twist. Maybe we come up with a happy ending where the queen actually learns her lesson and changes her ways, or maybe we imagine something more unexpected. It's all up to us. Let's have fun with it and come up with our own ending to the tale.
Okay, let's imagine the third task for the prince was something from wizard's world, and he gave him to the task, for example, find some magic flower or something like this. And how can he find her? What do you think?
I love that idea. So let's imagine that for the third task, the queen told the prince he had to find a magical flower that only blooms at midnight in an enchanted forest. So the prince and his servants have to go on a little adventure to find this rare flower. Maybe they use the abilities of the servants, like quick eyes to spot it from far away, or big ear to hear the magic whisper of where it grows. In the end, they find the flower and bring it back, and that's the final thing that proves the prince is worthy. That's a really fun twist. Thanks for imagining that with me.
And after that, this flower was this flower ate people, and he ate the queen, and there it was happy ending.
Oh, that's a wonderfully unexpected and slightly dark twist. So the magical flower turned out to be a bit of a man-eating plant that ended up swallowing the queen. And in a funny way, that's how the story matches up with the happy ending for everyone else. I love that creativity. It's been really fun imagining this alternate ending together.
Okay, thank you for the today's lesson. We'll see in the next time. Bye. Так. Як ви бачите, зараз вже є вся наша весь діалог, і я прошу його підсумую. Мгм. І ще й плутанина. He knew that her father, he wants to be married. Ага. And she... Ну, це, напевно, може неправильно розпізнавало навіть. Ну, коротше, це про виразність вимови більше, напевно. Часи. He knows про минуле. She makes a great fire. New made. Це, да, неправильна форма дієслова. He can saw. Would have read. Couldn't see. Так, де це? Непонятно. Would have been read. Це. Так, це він пішов не з цього. Мгм. М, Да. О, 30 хвилин говоріння, да, десь так і було. Повністю пройшов сюжет історії від початку до кінця, пропрацьовував в форматі TPRS, питання, відповідь, перефразування, повтори, імпровізував, так, не приходив на українську, навіть коли було складно. Це так, окей. Похвала. Аналіз твого говоріння. Що вже добре, комунікація, тебе завжди було зрозуміло, ти тримав діалог, ставив питання, реагував. Це так, сюжетне мислення, ризики. Так, типові помилки, на які ми будемо працювати. Я не буду дрібні, так, огірки, тільки системні, часи. Вот. He is from a poor country. Е, He, she make a fire. He go to the king. У present. Так. Past simple. He was from a poor country. She made a fire. She went to the king. Правило пусте. Past. Да, окей. Плутанина хіші. Це я помітив, було таке. Структура питання. Why did the queen didn't want? Да, оце я помітив, що в мене там пролізло. What does the queen was doing? Подвійне минуле. Так, перевіримо. Да, да. Це от в кінці десь якраз було, по-моєму. Ні? Да. What does the queen was doing? Зайві слова. I want to say that, for example, in this situation, maybe. I think the queen wanted power. The prince met strange було. Де це було? Непонятно, звідки він це взяв. Лексика, форма разом. О, he can eat. She didn't knew. She was very embarrassing. Мінімальний фокус. Can eat. He can eat. Didn't know. Ага. Да, ну це подвійне, це минуле, я поняв. Це туди. Fluency 7, accuracy 4,5, vocabulary 6, і interaction 10. Так. Окей. І в мене ще залишилось тут кількість часу, 13 хвилин. Я зроблю ще довільний переказ цієї історії. Once there was a queen which she was jealous and jealous queen. Okay. And she have a beautiful daughter. Any prince, a lot of prince wants to marry to the princess, and but the queen так. Стоп. Якась тупняк напав. One second. Ні, не хочу я бачити ці результати. Once there was a very jealous queen, and she has a beautiful daughter. Many princes give to marry the princess, but after that, the queen gave an impossible job. And if the prince can't do it, the queen kills them. On one small country, other prince lived there with who has a poor king. That prince wanted to marry the princess too, but the king said to the prince, "You didn't do that because queen kill you." And the king didn't want didn't want he didn't want to her son goes to that kingdom and married to princess because that queen kills them. But the prince was very sad about this. He can't eat, he can't sleep, and he looks very bad after a short time. After that, her father said, "Okay, you go ahead to the princess, and maybe you maybe he saw him again." Then the prince go to the start eating and start sleeping, get and get stronger again. After he goes to the princess, he on his journey, he met a very strange yeah, he met the rock hill, but it isn't. It wasn't there before. When he goes near, he saw that wasn't mountain. Oh, it was a very fat man who slept on his back, and that fat man awake, and Prince asked him, "What are you doing here, fat man?" He asked, "I was asleep, but now I am didn't asleep because of you." Uh, and now I want my lunch. The prince asked to the fat man, would you be my servant?" And fat man says, "If you give me a food, I will." And he goes together to the kingdom with princess. The next was he met the man with he met the man with very long arms. But first of all, if they think it was very strange trees. And the prince invited there too for their servants. After that, they met a man who covers who covered one eye, and they thought it was something in their eye, something in her eye, and Quick Eye said about her eye, and about what he can saw through the things, through mountains, through water, through everything. And if he wanted to look nearer, he needed to cover one eye, and then he looked great. Then he on their journey, he met the man who who lean one ear on the ground, and that man, the big ear, said what he can hear everything while some flowers are opened and people are saying and someone. And the last one, it was cold man, which they saw. It was a very strange man in this world because he, while when he opened his coat, the sun was disappeared and everything was died. But he decided to save the world and cover his coat and heads for unhappy this. And this all people approve for were the servants of prince, and then they came to the kingdom, and prince asked to the queen what I need to do for marry the princess. The first task it was to find the blue jewel which the king dropped to the river for hard task, for impossible task to the prince. But help with his servants helping, he can find the jewel very fast, and he brings the jewel, and the queen unexpectedly, it was unexpected for queen, and he didn't know what to do the next, but the next day she knew a new task for the prince. Щось таке наговорив, якесь. Воно, блін, то йде, то не йде. Задовбало. Що там, яка оцінка? Так. Reading. Це в нас день, який був 28. Це free speaking. Подавай мені результати. 51. 4, 10, 1. 4, 10, 1. 1. 17, 20. Так. 51, 56, 58. 51, 59. Вот. Reading. Так, reading. Ну, я бачу, що оцей overall speaking score загальний, да, оцей, він потрошки в мене зростає, тенденція на рост. Зелений fluency теж в мене трошки зростає. І жовтий зростає intonation. І навіть зростає grammar. Ні, ну він grammar не він не в флеті. А pronunciation, до речі, теж. Він так, від початку, як я почав займатися, в принципі, теж нормально. Vocabulary в мене просадка є. З vocabulary треба реально займатися. Це по читанню. А по цьому в мене, словник падає. Fluency, щось я таке наговорив. От воно, реально від переказу в мене від непонятно чого залежить. Intonation теж, все, в принципі, в флеті. Мало даних, треба більше даних, щоб щось тут аналізувати. Я, до речі, з наступного тижня трошки зроблю коригування тут по цьому. Я хочу зробити на початку і наприкінці зразу читання по 10 хвилин і переказ, щоб заводити ці дані побільше було. І зроблю ще відповідний фільтр на початку і наприкінці, щоб можна було дивитися, як буде. Тому що якщо дивитись все і на початку і наприкінці, то буде таке щось, дуже сильно хвилі йти, щоб можна було дивитися, як відбувається на початку і на кінці. Так, значить, сьогодні заповнюємо щоденничок. Тут не буде. Таке. Тут в мене нічого не було. Слова я вчора додавав. Simple, як завжди. Успіх дня. Не знаю, не можу я сказати, що якийсь був. Складність переказу. Так, загалом, в принципі, норм на завтра. Нічого, далі займатися та й все. Так, підбили підсумок. В принципі, на сьогодні моє заняття закінчилось. Завтра підіб'ю підсумки, тому, в принципі, на сьогодні все. Дякую за увагу. Дякую, що були. Підписуйтесь на канал, ставте лайки, ставте вподобайки. Це допоможе мені працювати як мій канал, так і ідею з самонавчанням по англійському. Як на мене, це дає класні результати, витрачаючи досить невелику кількість часу, і прокачуєте свої скіли англійської мови не гірше, ніж з репетиторами чи на курсах, однозначно. Всім дякую за увагу і до нових зустрічей.